This is MIP. Get woke.
They say successful African dynasties are a myth and we lost our strength when we were torn from our heritage. That's what they say. But we recognize the strength of our leaders, including James Baldwin, Dr. Charles Drew, Harriet Tubman, Madam C.J. Walker, Malcolm X, and of course, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we know a new generation of kings and queens in America are claiming their thrones. From scientists to activists, from educators to entertainers, we're changing the world. We see you, new kings and queens, and we know your home is your castle, your money is your treasure, and your family and friends appreciate your royalty. We're one community that continues to beat the odds, and now we're focused on our money. So rise up and make Black history today. It's time to unleash the king and queen in you. Get the card. Bank Black at oneunited.com. That's oneunited.com. Proud sponsor of Progressive Radio. Member FDIC. Joining us now, CNN analyst, our brother, Bakari Sellers. Hey, brother. How are you, man?
I'm doing well this morning. Happy Monday. Happy Black History Month.
Yes, sir, my brother. What's your take on the latest with this whole Ralph Northam thing?
Well, I actually was on State of the Union talking about it yesterday, and with Jake Tapper, and had an opportunity to explain why blackface for so many African Americans is so offensive, dating back to the mid-19th century and minstrel shows, how they depicted us, and how there's no excuse for that, and no excuse, of course, for the KKK garb. And I was listening in on your segment a little earlier, and it's hypocritical of us if we want to call out Steve King and call out the bigotry and racism in the Republican Party, but we can't call out the bigotry and racism that's right there in Virginia. And so, I'm glad most of the figures that I know have been saying that it's time for him to go. It's going to be hard pressed. Every day that goes by is a day less likely that he will resign, and that's unfortunate. But we just have to keep the pressure on. And I think as a Democrat, one of our standards just simply has to be, racism is not tolerated, period, and go from there.
Yeah, you're from a southern state like Virginia. You're from South Carolina. By the way, folks, a documentary that's getting all the buzz is about our brother Bakari. While I breathe, I hope, and we hope people will be on the lookout for that. How can people? Is there a way people can see the documentary now, Bakari?
Yeah, it actually airs next Monday. It airs February 11th on PBS World Channel, Afropop, and it's going to be streaming live. It's going to be streaming from there until eternity, we hope, beginning on the 11th. But it actually airs next Monday, February 11th on Afropop, PBS's World Channel at 8 p.m. So I hope people check it out. And then if you can't check it out at that time, it'll be streaming on pbs.org. So, it's a look into race in the South. It's a look into, some of the things that we went through, the turmoil of my family from the Orangeburg Massacre in February 8th, 1960, where one of my good friends was murdered, my race for lieutenant governor. And it's, it covers the trials and tribulations and everything therein.
And speaking of lieutenant governors, the point I've been making, this isn't rocket science. We're all Democrats. And if this were a basketball team, Bakari, and a starter was injured or couldn't finish the game, we just bring in the next best sub we have. That's what a team does. And Justin is ready to come off the bench. He's not random. I mean, this brother can lead the state of Virginia, can't he?
There's no doubt about it. I've known Justin for a very long period of time. I vouch for Justin, and I think that there are many people, black, white, or otherwise, who believe Justin is a good leader. He's been patient. He's been virtuous. He's been a public servant.
Right.
When they wrote him off, even in the election, people have to remember that Ralph Northam and his crew decided not to put him on their advertisements as a slate because
right.
Justin stood in opposition to a gas pipeline. So, I'm not sure what the hesitation is, but if I believe it's apropos this Black History Month if you have Governor Justin Fairfax.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing about it is he would be able to serve almost 2 terms, which a governor actually is not able to do under normal circumstances in Virginia. We've got some other information on that, and joining us now, Bakari, is someone I know you also know and who knows you. He's the founder of the Collective PAC, which actually helped Justin and other Democrats get elected. Quentin James joins us on the line. Quentin, good morning, man. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Mark. Good morning, Bakari. Thank you guys for having me on.
It's a pleasure to have you, my brother. So, Quinn, you and I talked yesterday. Is there any more news or confirmation to what we were discussing yesterday that Northam's staff, and this is even more of a deal breaker, that they are in fact um, calling reporters to try to smear Justin Fairfax's name?
Yeah, Mark. So yesterday we released a statement, probably around 2:30 p.m. Eastern, because between Saturday night and Sunday morning, we had gotten a few tips from your colleagues in the media, informing us that members of the Northam team were engaging in a whisper campaign to try and undermine our good brother Fairfax. I think that has kind of led to the same conservative, white supremacist media outlet publishing a false story or false allegations rather about the lieutenant governor this, last night around midnight,
Right.
From something from 2004. And so part of the person who leaked that story, her husband is a Richmond operative who has ties to the Dominion CEO and former mayors of Richmond. And so this is all very suspicious. And it's actually, just really despicable and sad that in a moment where we would expect great leadership from Governor Northam, right, to resign and to go, and to work on healing the Commonwealth as a leader, it seems as though those around him are, kind of devolving into scorched earth politics at the moment. And so it's just really sad, but we're going to be vigilant and make sure that folks know the truth.
So just to be clear, the story that was leaked late last night, I know Jamil Smith had tweeted that the same website that posted, the right-wing website that posted the blackface of Northam, also put out this story about Justin Fairfax. But you're saying that story was being circulated by Northam staff and supporters?
Well, what I'm saying is the initial tip, the initial kind of Facebook post that led to them publishing the story was shared by the wife of a Richmond operative who has ties to both Ralph Northam's team, Universe, and the Dominion CEO. Again, we remember Justin Fairfax was opposed to, some gas pipelines that were really controversial in 2017. And so, again, this is all, just, again, very suspicious, to say the least.
What's that Richmond operative's name, Quentin? Do you know it?
Yeah, but again, I don't want to kind of put their name out there.
Okay.
You can Google the woman's name who shared the initial Facebook post, and
What is her name?
Draw the lines.
Because
I believe it's Adrian Shift.
Adrian?
I believe so. Yeah, I need to go and look at it one more time. But,
Okay.
But yeah, but again, it's there on the initial blog post.
Bakari, Bakari, have you heard about this story, this latest smear against Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people have heard about it, but I'm confident in dismissing it. And so I don't. One of the reasons that I'm very appreciative of friends like Quentin, and Quentin's probably the second best person in his family because his beautiful wife is even better than he is that they are able to do the blocking and tackling for us. And so, well, my job, I think, is to make sure that we continue to push forward and lift Justin's name up, and I'll let Quentin kind of do the dirty work and do the blocking and tackling. I'm not, these lies in politics in the South. Now, I don't know how y'all play it up north, but when you get below the Mason-Dixon, you got to wear shoulder pads and everything to play in politics down here. So
yeah.
We're used to these kind of bumping and moving, and I think Justin will be okay.
So from your point of view, Bakari Sellers and Quentin James with us, folks, 10 minutes before the hour. Bakari, where do you see this going? I mean, how? Now I've even heard a rumor that President Obama called Ralph Northam on yesterday and encouraged him to resign. Unconfirmed rumor. But now, under what circumstances can he possibly stay? I mean, we know he doesn't have to resign, but are you getting any indication that things may be moving in that direction where he may resign today or tomorrow?
No, I think that the most pressure he had to resign was on that evening and then the next morning. I think the further we get away from the incident, the more likely he is to dig his heels in. Also, just to give some context, and one of the things that people have to appreciate is the context of this situation.
Right.
They are in the crossover period in the Virginia legislature, which means the bills have to go from one chamber to the other in order for them to be passed, which is an intense negotiation period between the House, the Senate, and the governor's office. And after that occurs, then Richmond will settle down. And, I think that he thinks that if he gets through this period, he can settle down. And by casting some aspersions on Justin, he can say, I can save the Commonwealth by not resigning because we'll have to deal with these other issues.
Yeah. Well, that'll make a lot of sense either. My fear, Bakari Sellers was CNN with his folks, is that this will be fodder for Trump at the State of the Union tomorrow. And it'll be hypocritical, of course. But anything that...
Right now, this isn't in a State of the Union. Now, I will tell you that Donald Trump goes on riffs. But from everything that we've heard, and y'all please pray for me because I'm going to be on after the State of the Union, which means I have to watch it.
Jesus.
But I'm not certain that he will go down this path. I think that he has actually done a decent job for Donald Trump of staying out of it because he knows it will trample on his own message. Now, I don't believe anything that's going to come out of his mouth tomorrow, but I don't anticipate him touching on this at all.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you think Democrats could do or voters can do or the people should be doing? I mean, should everyone be kind of saying today, Ralph Northam resign? What do you think?
Yeah, but I also think that people have to invest in things like the collective PAC and Quentin, and I'll let him chime in on that. But I think that, making sure that we have these entities that can do the blocking and tackling, these entities that can find out, sift through this information, have the resources to go through it to tell us what's true, what's not, and push back is important. Because we don't, as black folk and as black Dems, we don't have those resources. So we need to uplift those resources and make sure they have what they need. I think that's very important.
And no, you're absolutely right. I think Quentin had a bad connection. We may have dropped him, but he's right. Bakari's right, folks. Go to the collectivepac.org and support their efforts. I mean, this is a great moment of history. Bakari, I mean, you have for the first time two viable candidates of color. Well, in terms of color, two viable black candidates, but at least three of color if you count Julian Castro running for the Democratic nomination for president. And in your state, Lord have mercy. I mean, that being the first, big primary with a majority of voters of color, to have all three of those candidates competing against, this probably would be one of the most competitive South Carolina primaries in history.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, I was the co-chair for Barack Obama's campaign in 2008 in South Carolina. And although a lot of the grass tops, as I like to call them, a lot of the elected officials and pastors were with Hillary Clinton, we had overwhelming support from the grassroots community. I think Kamala Harris is in a good position, and I don't want to say the catbird seat per se, but she's in a good position to pull it off here and springboard into Super Tuesday. But you have to back up just a little bit and think about the fact that we had 4 African Americans who were considering running for president of the United States. And Eric Holder still may say yes. I don't think he will, but it's still a possibility. But we had Deval Patrick, Eric Holder, Kamala Harris, and Cory Booker. And we have a wealth of riches, an abundance of riches.
That's
and
right.
So I'm excited about what's going to happen, and I hope that people support them and challenge them, and then hold them accountable.
Did I hear you suggest that Kamala's the favorite?
I believe so. I believe
Okay.
Kamala is in the front runner seat because of her continuous connections with the African American community, HBCUs, being a member of AKA, her record in the Senate, and actually just her policies going forward. So I know that she has some questions to answer, like they all do.
Right.
But I think that once it shakes out, I think she'll be successful.
Folks, we're streaming on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make It Plain. Also on Instagram, Minister with 2 T's. We've got a hard break on the radio show. Go to our stream to hear the rest of my conversation. I'm just going to keep a couple of minutes because I got to ask Quentin something. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, Make It Plain, in case you miss us on the radio. Quentin, James, and Bakari Sellers with us as we talk about Ralph Northam. But since we've gone into the presidential race, Quentin, what's Collective PAC doing? Do you pick which of these African-American candidates running for president to support? Do you choose one? What does Collective PAC do in this situation, Quentin?
Yeah, I mean, our main objective in 2020 is, we want to ensure that an African American is on the ticket, and so the important piece for us is, making sure that folks know that, making sure that folks are signing up to support either Corey or Kamala or any other potential viable black candidates who get in the race. So that's how kind of we see this thing. We're not going to pick between any of them, but support them all.
Okay, so you're going to support them all. And as we had lost you, but as Bakari was saying, people should. He was doing really a plug for you, saying that in the long run, that's why we need organizations like the Collective PAC and why people should support the Collective PAC. And I think you just made that case very well, because all of these candidates, not just presidential candidates, make a difference in this. Bakari, you have any plans to run for office anymore, brother, or what?
So yeah.
Okay.
I've never been hesitant about it. The documentary that I'm on talking about this morning, While I Breathe, I Hope, that airs next Monday on PBS on World Pop, and then Afropop, and then streams on PBS.org beginning next Monday. Documents my time in the State House for 8 years, and then running for Lieutenant Governor, trying to be the first statewide elected official in South Carolina that's African American. But I plan on running for Congress. I don't make any bones about it. I plan on running for United States Congress as soon as my United States Congressman Jim Clyburn decides to move into another line of work or career path, and hopefully that's in 2020 or 2022. So, doing all the things necessary in South Carolina so that one day I can represent my home in the United States Congress. That's my dream.
All right. Sounds good. Well, brothers, I thank you both for joining us as we flush this out. Years ago, you would have not seen, 3 black men of our generation in a position to go on a national medium and talk this way, y'all. And that's why, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, you wasn't no Bakari on CNN. I wasn't on SiriusXM. And Lord knows there wasn't no Black Political Action Committee. Hello?
That's true.
So, folks, you're witnessing history. It's Black History Month. You're witnessing history, just witnessing us 3 brothers in a position now to talk and being in the positions we're in. That's why we're not playing. We can't have no Ralph Northam, and we're in positions to say that loudly and be heard, and for there to be consequences when people don't listen. Somebody was comparing Northam to Lyndon Johnson. Well, Lyndon Johnson wasn't under the same kind of microscope, and there were things he was able to get away with. He could rehabilitate himself while in office, but that's not really what it's about in 2019. So, I have a great respect for both of my brothers, both kings. This is Black History Month. Support collectivepac.org. Follow Bakari_Sellers on Twitter, and be on the lookout for his documentary, While I Breathe, I hope premiering on PBS next week for Black History Month. And Bakari ain't done either. All right? We can expect a lot more from him. So, brothers, let's keep in close touch and uphold our other brother making history, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, Justin Fairfax, as I know you both will. Thank you both very, very much. Okay, man?
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, brothers. Talk to you a little later. All right, folks. We will take a break. We'll be right back. SiriusXM Progress 127 Resistance Radio. Get woke, get ready for impeachment. This is MIP.